Hello. I think I'm live. Still says starting. Oh, there it is. Okay, cool. Hello. I don't know if anyone's gonna come on, but I'll wait a little bit before I start talking. Also, I'm accompanied by my two host assistants, Tucker and Simba, today. Don't mind them in the background. Hi, Allie. Thanks for coming on. Four viewers? Wow, thanks. All right. Okay. I see things are happening, but it's not really letting me see. Anyway, okay. Well, already wasted a minute, so I might as well get started. So I'm Victoria Mead. I work at Realty One Group. I'm an associate broker there. Thanks for tuning in today on Real Estate Advice with Victoria Mead. So, unless anybody has questions, I'm gonna go over two questions I got asked this week by my clients, because if they had the same questions, you might have, if they had questions, you might have the same questions. So, first one, is it possible to buy a house at the same time you're selling your current house? The answer is yes. So this market is super competitive, awful for buyers, but it is not impossible. It is better if you can find somewhere potentially to live in, just because you'll have no home sale contingency when you purchase, but it's not impossible. People do it all the time. So yep, you would do it back to back too. You'd close one right after the other. That way you'd be homeless for about an hour, and then you'd have a home again and you can move right in. Let's see, any questions? None yet. We'll see if any come through. The next one. What's the least expensive upgrade you can do to your house to make it sell for more? So, hi Samantha, thanks for coming on. So the least expensive thing you can do that actually doesn't necessarily add value, but it kind of does at the same time, is paint. So painting is the worst thing. I don't like to paint. No one likes to paint. But when you have a nice fresh coat of paint throughout your whole house, it just feels different. If you go to a house that is chipping paint on the outside, and then you go to a house that's been freshly painted, it's like night and day. I mean, paint really does make a huge difference. So that's one thing I recommend, is just throw some paint on it, and a lot of times things look way better. Allie asked, how important are home inspections? That's a great question, and they're very important, in my opinion anyway. A lot of buyers nowadays are waiving their inspections in order to get their offers accepted, and that's super risky. So even in a brand new house, so I always use this as an example. My sister-in-law bought a house, and brand new built. No one lived there, just built. And I told them to do a home inspection anyway, which it was good they did, because there were still issues found. And a home inspector that I know of used to talk all about how new construction even had so many things wrong. So it's just important, whether it's brand new or old, the house is going to have issues. You should definitely get a home inspection. There's always problems. It's true. Thanks for asking. All right. Well, I don't want to keep this on all day, but I also don't want to miss out if anyone was going to ask anything. I see 7 of you are on. I don't know what 7, but thanks for joining. Let's see. I'll wait another minute. Actually, I can cover one more topic if you want while you're here. So the lender that you hires a title company to search the title when you are buying a house. And as a real estate agent, it's my job to provide you with a deed. Now, the verbiage in deeds are really kind of old school, and I don't know much about deeds besides what I'm supposed to know. So all deed questions, I always refer to a title company that I work with, Cohen Closing and Title, by the way. But when I look through a deed for a client, I always look for red flags. So a couple of the words I look for is easements. So if you've ever heard of a word easements, so that just basically means that somebody has the rights to your land in some sort of way. So one that I see all the time is like the public service, the electrical company, they have an easement to come to onto your property, basically just to fix any issues with the electrical lines, if there are any. Or you'll see if you have a drainage easement. If you have drainage on your property, you have to allow them to come on and fix a drainage issue if there is one. So they automatically get permission because it is an easement in your deed. Covenants. So those are a lot of times you see those in HOA situations, but there are sometimes in just generic deeds, and it's something you might want to look into further, potentially. So a covenant is basically an agreement. So for my property, let's say, we can't have fences. It's an agreement. It's a restriction. So covenants and restrictions. It's agreed that I can't. That didn't make any sense. But anyways, restrictions and covenants is something you want to look into, especially, so say, actually this is happening with one of my neighbors. They have chickens, and my other neighbor is like, excuse me, you're not supposed to have chickens. It says so in the deed. And they didn't realize when they bought it that they couldn't have chickens, and they wanted chickens. So that was a rule, a restriction, and it was an agreement written in the deed stating that you couldn't have it, and they didn't know. They should have hired me instead. I would have told them. It's fine. Hi, Sarah. Thanks for coming on. Is it usual to get cash back from the seller in a market like this? Super difficult. So when you're up against somebody that has conventional financing, they're putting 20% down and they're waiving their inspections and all this good stuff, and then you're asking for closing costs, a lot of times the sellers will go with somebody that just has the money. But back when I first started 7 years ago, you could definitely ask for closing costs and get cash back. If that's what you mean by cash back, then it's not impossible though. It is still happening. I closed a buyer like a few months ago that did. It's just harder because of the competition out there to get it. So my recommendation would be maybe get a gift from a family member if you can, or potentially if you qualify, maybe you could get a grant from New Hampshire Housing to cover the difference, something like that. I hope that answered that. Can somebody back out of purchasing a home? Great question. Yes. So it depends on the situation, depends on if they have a contingency in the contract to do that. So say they did their home inspections and everything was like normal, did their inspections within the deadline, and they just were like, forget it, I don't want to buy this house anymore because of these reasons, they can back out and get their deposit back as long as it's within reason. So yep, it's definitely possible, and there's a few ways that that could happen. So great question. Do you ever submit offers on different properties at the same time for one buyer? Great question, Chelsea. So normally I'd say no. I mean, what happens if you get your offer accepted on both houses? Now you're in a contractual agreement with two different sets of sellers. And unless if you want to own two houses, you probably shouldn't. But in this market though, it's so hard to get your offer accepted that some of my buyers are like, listen, the houses are going to be gone after Sunday. So if I don't put in an offer on both of these, which I wouldn't mind living in both, I'm going to miss out. And more than likely my offer is not going to get accepted, unfortunately. So let's just try it. So I have been doing that. I shouldn't say luckily both haven't been accepted, because that would be cool if at least one of the two got accepted, or both. But no, so you really shouldn't technically. But in this market, I've been allowing it because it's hard to get your offer accepted. So, yeah. Good question, though. Anybody else have any questions? All right. Well, it's been 9 minutes and 25 seconds, so I don't want to keep this too long. So, oh, did I see something come back? No. If you can get two accepted on one weekend, I want whatever you're doing. Yes, Chelsea. Same. Whoever figures it out first, we have to let each other know, because clearly I'm missing something. It's been rough. So, anyways, Well, thank you guys for coming on. I'll be back on next Friday at 7 p.m. again for more discussions. Thank you so much for everybody that logged in and asked questions and liked it and viewed it and all that. So anyway, all right, see you next Friday at 7 p.m. Start thinking of some questions. Write them down so you don't forget, and I'll see you back at 7 on Friday. Cool. All right, enjoy your weekend. Bye.